And yes.
And I do have an add-on. I have a resolution approving an appropriation adjustment within Common Pleas Community Corrections Mental Health Fund number 2228.
So moved?
Yep, second.
And yes.
And that's all I have.
Very good. First, we have a public hearing on a rezoning application of Royce Machine, Mark Burton, to rezone approximately 2.165 acres in Union Township from I-2 General Industrial Manufacturing Zone to IHO to I-2 General Industrial Manufacturing with a PUD. Good morning.
Good morning, Michelle Tagmeyer, Warren County Building and Zoning. As stated, this is case number 2023-08 for Mark and Connie Burton, Royce Machine. The township is Union. The address is 2358 Lebanon Road. The parcel ID is 13331000100. The property size is 2.165 acres, and there's approximately 221 feet of frontage. And as you stated, the current zoning is I2 and IHO. The future land use map has this as low-density residential. The existing land use is a manufacturing with a caretaker's dwelling. Again, the issue for consideration is to rezone the property from a straight I2 to an I2 PUD for an expansion of a longtime family business. The rezoning process, this was heard by Regional Planning Commission on November 16th and the Warren County Rural Zoning Commission on December 12th. We have both the recommendations included. Here is the site, an aerial of where it is located. Of course, you see Arrow Springs to the south, the FedEx is over to the west. Surrounding uses. So this is the proposed plan. It does show the existing building, which is currently there, along with the two proposed new structures, which one would be to the rear of the building, which is about 2,100 square feet. And of course, there is a new expansion to the front, which is about 8,000 square feet. There's also an addition proposed to the single-family dwelling of about 1,200 square feet.
Well, which is the dwelling? Is that the one to the bottom of it?
The brick house, yes, sir.
Well, I can't tell if it's brick, but is that the bottom?
I'm sorry.
It's labeled brick house.
Okay, see, I can't even
can't
read
see
that.
that.
This is the current residential structure.
Okay.
This is the current existing building that they're using now. They're proposing the addition here, and then of course a small addition into the single family home.
And is the property line the dark black line?
Yes, sir, it is this line.
And there's a structure that is literally on the property line?
This is the structure that is currently there. They have been renting this building, but with the new development going in here, we aren't for sure what's going to happen to this structure.
So they were permitted to put something directly on the property line, zero lot line. There's nothing, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's from quite a
It's
few
already
years
there.
ago.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay, thank you.
And this is probably a better view of what's currently there now, sir.
Mm-hmm. What kind of business is this?
Manufacturing. And Mr. Burton is here. He can go into detail on everything that he's doing on that site. Again, this just shows a closer up and maybe easier to view what they're proposing for the future.
And it's currently zoned,
I too, sir.
so it has an industrial zoning right now.
Yes, we're asking for the PUD just so that he can expand this business. With an I2, we have certain requirements for setbacks. He can't meet those on this size of a lot. So that's why we're asking for the PUD.
What's the setback requirement?
Setback requirement would be 50 feet.
From the side as well as the front?
Yes, sir.
So he can't meet the side setback, but he can meet the front one.
Yes, sir.
What's he suggesting in terms of the side setback?
He is proposing on the north, which is currently now mixed use, he's proposing a 20-foot setback here. He's proposing 10 in the back and then 10 on the south side. This is I2 and this is also I2 currently.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's the real change, is just the setback change.
Yes.
And an expansion.
Well, he's doing
to
an expansion, but he can do
business.
the expansion, but because there's nothing that prevents them from doing the expansion of the same usage, because it's a qualified usage. The only problem is the setbacks.
That's
Is that right?
Yes, that's what we
Okay.
wanna make
All
sure
right.
that we cover in this PUD.
Okay.
This is a notification map of everyone that was notified within 500 feet. This is the zoning map showing that I-2 is currently his zoning, and then the I-2 around his property.
So the I-2 goes to the south of his property, but not the north?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then what about to the east? What is that?
This used to be, and I'm sure you're familiar, this used to be the old, what, I don't remember.
Landing.
Browning Airport, thank you. It was an old airport. Dr. Singh currently owns it. I don't think it's used now as an airport, but it used to be an old airport.
Does it appear to you that there's a connection between the two properties?
Oh, at one point in time, yes, I think this was all owned by them. Bruce may have more information as far as the
Okay.
history, or Mr. Burton would have more information. But yeah, at one point in time, and then I know this property here, you can see there's a case number, it was approved for helicopter rides back in the day, so,
But okay, so this property was probably one parcel, and then there was a partition.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Future land use map has this as low-density residential. The City of Lebanon future land use has this as innovation district. So you can see their, future land use may be a little bit more current than what ours is, and of course, we do have one of the trustees for
Well,
Union
what
Township.
is an innovation district?
Innovation district allows for, their primary uses in that would be light industrial, warehousing, distribution, commercial retail, office.
But this is not in the city.
No, none of this, no.
What's in Union Township?
It's Union
So
Township.
why does Lebanon have this in their plans?
Well, they're proposing, of course, that they would, I'm sure, expect someday to annex it. Does show all the way, annexation all the way down to 71.
Oh, really? Okay, that's interesting. So the reason why that's in their plans is because they've already sent out their feelers that they want to annex this? Okay, that's interesting, but, does the usage that they plan for include this usage?
Yes,
The
sir.
current usage? Okay.
What he has in his PUD, of course, you know how PUDs work. They have permitted uses and then uses that are banned. His permitted use groups are agricultural and related uses, residential uses, agricultural, accessory uses, temporary. Also, some of the permitted subgroups would be commercial business and service uses like professional office, industrial manufacturing, research, supply services, manufacturing, and industrial services. And then the prohibited uses, of course, are what's listed here. So those would include things like, you know, truck terminals, distribution facilities.
None of that's gonna change with the change?
All this is going to be prohibited. He added this.
Oh, he
between-
added those?
Yeah,
Those
these
were
were added,
previously permitted?
In an I-2, yes. So he's prohibited these.
So he's saying, I will agree to prohibit these things if you give us what I want. Is that what's
Well,
happening?
PUD is kind of a negotiation process in a way where they
Okay.
agree not to do some things that we definitely don't want in this area.
All right, so, but he's offering that as an incentive for us to approve what he wants, is that it?
Well, and I think he doesn't want, you know, this has been his family's property for a long time. I think he just doesn't ever want these kind of uses on that site.
Okay,
And certainly I don't want to speak for him, you know.
yeah. Well, if he wants to prohibit something on his site, I'm not gonna deny that.
And then RPC has their recommendations.
Hi, good morning. My name is Ryan Cook with the Warren County Regional Planning Commission. I'll just go over the recommendation that was presented to the Warren County Executive Committee. So at its meeting on November 16th, the Executive Committee recommended approval with the following conditions. Number 1 and 2 are boilerplate. Number 3 was for them to submit an updated site plan, which they have done. Number 4 was just an addition to number 3, basically saying that they had to have a engineer do their site plan for them, which they have completed already. Number 5 was a landscape plan submitted at stage 2. And then number 6, the existing driveway shall terminate 10 feet prior to the eastern property line to install a buffer, which is buffer type A, which is required. or the applicant shall submit a shared driveway access maintenance agreement with that eastern parcel. Compliance with the revised PUD standards proposed in the staff report in Exhibit B. And then number 8 was to dedicate the right-of-way in compliance with the thoroughfare plan prior to stage 3. I can certainly answer any questions regarding any of the conditions, but Michelle and I can certainly answer any additional questions that you might have. But that completes our presentation.
Do you know why some of the people voted no?
I believe, in summary, there was a representative from the city of Lebanon. I think their main gist of that is that it was inconsistent with the future land use map.
I thought that my question was whether that was true, and they said it was consistent.
It is consistent with their future land use map, but according to
Wait, there. I thought you said that
the city.
Lebanon is saying it's not consistent, but it is consistent?
Union Township's, it's residential, low density.
Correct.
City wants it industrial, but the city's saying, wait, it doesn't meet the land use, even though they want it to be that land
Correct.
use?
Yes.
Okay, that's why I'm confused.
I just want to be
In a
clear on
nutshell,
that,
yes,
Oh, yeah, are you clear on that
correct.
now?
perfectly.
Okay, well, that's good. I'm sure that there must be an explanation. Go ahead. That's it?
Yep.
Okay, great. It's
But, I
Lebanon.
mean, the bottom line is, this is already, and this has been here for a long time, I take it? Yeah, I mean, so this is grandfathered even in, before a lot of the zoning stuff, but it's zoned industrial right now. The only deviation is a PUD, a negotiated process, which will allow them to expand what they are allowed to expand, but it's just the setback issue. And they're saying, we'll throw you a couple of things like permitted usage if you let us be closer than required on the setbacks.
And I wanted to continue to, the Regional Planning Commission on their meeting at December 13th had unanimous vote to approve this.
Okay, did anyone, so I'm most interested in the immediate neighboring property owners. Did any of them speak at the other planning commission meetings and oppose this?
To the north is Mr. Tyler Holden, and he is here. To the
Yeah, but
west.
did he speak at either one of those meetings to oppose it?
At the Regional Planning Commission, there was no opposition.
Okay, and so none of the property owners that were informed have spoken against it?
Against this, no.
I'm talking about the contiguous owners. Okay, thank you.
Great, very good. This time, I'd like to hear from the applicant, if you'd like to kind of give us a quick overview, what you got going on.
Good morning. I am Mark Burton, along with my wife, we're the applicants. My grandfather brought his existing machine shop here in 1953. And as you suggested, this was a large parcel. It was 127 acres when he bought it. It's been chopped into approximately 14 pieces. So yes, it looks contiguous because it once was. We're down to just the 2 acres. I began exploring this maybe 15 years ago with Mike Yetter. 20 feet was his suggestion as a potential setback because there's power lines running that property line.
Which property line
To the
has a
north.
power?
I'm sorry, to the north.
Okay, so are these large power lines?
They are, I wouldn't call them large, but they are certainly larger than you would find in your average neighborhood.
Okay. Mhm.
The power lines run to,
And they're above ground, right?
they are.
Mhm. Okay.
There's a cluster that can be seen, in fact, you can see the shadow to the north. There's a pole to the west which feeds the home that Connie and I live in. The larger, the pole to the right feeds 480 volts to the machine shop. And then it will continue on. There's a pole also at the corner of the barn that feeds that barn that my business is renting from Blue Rock. And then the power lines continue on back to their
Okay.
structures.
Now, did you have any contact with your neighbors about this?
Yes.
Are they approving it?
I have not heard anybody say anything negative.
Okay. And Union Township trustees, have you talked to them?
Yes,
How do they feel about it?
I got I got unanimous support.
Okay, well, I gotta tell you what, you don't have to go on with me, because if the neighbors aren't objecting, and this is a usage that's consistent with your current usage, I don't have a problem with your setback change.
I would like to bring up an omission.
Okay?
Part of the reason for the structure of the PUD is my grandfather did have that house and machine shop there before there was zoning in Warren County. It was zoned I-2 in 1965 or 6,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was changed somewhat, but still I-2 later in the 70s when zoning was readdressed in Warren County. So the house, there's an existing house on I-2.
Do you live there?
Which makes me pretty close to unique, yes. I am third generation to live in that house.
Okay, and you just want to expand it to come closer to the lot line?
Right. The existing I-2 rules have a 50-foot setback.
Yeah, but that's a residence, you know, I'm not gonna have a problem with that either.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So is the landing strip ever used anymore?
Yeah,
I thought so.
Allegedly.
the airport was never really closed. Browning was my grandfather. I had the good fortune of growing up literally on the property. When there was a recession in 1983 that decimated Browning Tool Works, my grandfather's machine shop. And the machine shop supported the airport. The airport never paid its own bills. So that forced the sell-off of the property. And Harjinder Singh has bought it. So the good doctor told me when he bought it, Mark, do whatever you want so long as it's not detrimental. So he has chased off everybody, but he's never told me. So I tend to use it somewhat. The runway itself is crushed. I will be the first to tell you it's not ideal, but I've got an airplane that can be considered a bush airplane, so I come and go sometimes.
I remember one of my first trips up 48, all of a sudden there's a plane about 20 feet above me, and I'm like, wait, what is going on here?
It's startling if you don't know it's there. Absolutely.
Well, very good. We appreciate your history with the county. We appreciate any small local business that's doing well and wanting to expand, especially if it's zoned appropriately, so thank you. Very good. Anyone else want to speak in favor of this rezoning?
Hi.
Morning.
My name's Frank Demas. I live in Kings Acres, the neighborhood just below. And I had the pleasure of meeting Mark here a few weeks ago and wanted to explain the neighborhood has no objection. It was there when we all moved in. Mark's been a good neighbor. You know, he's a good guy and he lives there. So that's why you're not hearing anything. I would point out that in terms of City of Lebanon, that's where the bike park is. Have you guys seen that? Okay. It's right up the road on Lebanon Road and Turtle Creek Union. So yes, that property is zoned industrial, you know, innovation district, I think they call it. But that's, they took 112 acres there and it's a bike park. It sort of wraps around. And then the rest of that is mixed use all through there. So just one clarification, but wanted to let you know the neighborhood doesn't have any objections to it, so.
Appreciate that. Yeah, that's always a big issue with us, especially, you know, our major airport. It's always interesting that people, when there was issues around the airport, sometimes people would come in and complain, I can't believe this. Were you there before the airport?
Yeah,
Or was the airport,
that's all,
you
yes.
moved in next to an airport,
I
right?
was there when they used to do the touchdowns and they used to, I think they used to like pick up parachuters to go over Kings Island and that. But I live right there. I face it. I mean, not face it, but it's in my backyard. I always thought it was kind of neat myself. You know,
Right.
no, I didn't want them lying on my house. But beyond that, you know, I thought it was kind of cool and I was sort of sad to see that they plowed up the runway. But, whatever. He grows crops along that strip now, soybeans and corn on occasion, from what I've seen. So,
All right, very good. We appreciate
Thank
your
you.
comments. Anyone else want to speak in favor of this proposed change?
We own the property to the north, 2300 Lebanon Road, Blue Rock Properties. And we are in favor of this PUD. Currently rent the building to Mark and his business. He's a great neighbor to have. I think that this PUD affects our property the most. It's what's close to the proposed building. And I also want to make a point that I think this is framed into the future use of the area. I think it fits very well. His 13 prohibited uses, I think are good. We still have one parcel there that's unprohibited I-2 that surrounds his property. But I think the prohibited uses for the parcel fits the area and the future use of the area and future development overall in the area. So I think that's important. While he's been there since 1953 in the 50s, this PUD is new from the time you guys approve it. And because if he decides to retire and move on, there's still a land use here. And I think that, you know, this fits the future of this entire area. So, just make that point. But yes, I'm in full support of his small business as well as many others. So,
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak in favor? Is there any opponents to this rezoning? Does anybody want to speak against us considering this? Very good. Seeing none, is there a motion to close this public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
And yes. It's the pleasure of the board.
Well, I don't need any more discussion about it myself. If you all don't, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve it with the conditions established by, which body gave us conditions first?
The Regional Planning.
Regional Planning Commission conditions.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Young,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Grossman.
Yes.
Very good, good luck, and, yeah, with the expansion, we always love small businesses that are doing well and expanding. Good for you. Very good. Next, we have a work session with Mr. Kendall, Director of Telecom.
Well, that was quite a crew we had there for that. Well, there's gonna be some opposition here.
This is all a tee-up.
I think we got the whole joke.
Everybody's just teeing up
We got the whole joke.
For the north.
We got the whole joke.
everybody was doing.
Good morning, Paul. How are you?
Good morning. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have about resolution, a couple of resolutions that we have today. One is to reestablish the 911 committee, and the other is to appoint members. The changes to state law are driving this effort. They changed the name from the 911 Planning Committee to the 911 Review Committee. They've increased the size from 5 to 6 members, and added a lot of requirements to the 911 plan that didn't exist before. So there's a lot of design, how it's put together and how things work are now required to be a part of that plan. So we're trying to catch up with that and make it current. We didn't make any changes to the plan. Essentially, we're memorializing how we're operating today. So there's no changes proposed, just trying to catch up with the state law. I have to achieve approval from the planning committee, or now the review committee, and then we also have to achieve approval from all the townships and municipalities on the plan. And they want all of that by April 3rd, so we have to get all those approvals and get the final plan submitted to the state by April 3rd. The first resolution changes the name of the committee and reestablishes it. The second resolution designates the commissioner, one of the commissioners is a part of the board, and then the commissioners now have a member that you can appoint to be on the board. So we made a recommendation of Brent Centers. This gives Franklin City, since they have a 911 center, this gives them representation on the committee so that they have someone that can speak, excuse me, on their behalf.
So there's one committee for the county as opposed to, since they're not on our system, shouldn't they have their own?
Now, the state is it was the 911 planning committee, and it's been in existence at least until from 2007, I believe.
So the county has
It's
a
the
planning committee, and so it doesn't matter if there's one 911 system for the county or if there's 20,
Correct.
that this is the countywide plan.
And the ORC specifies there are 6 members, and they're very specific. If you look on the first page of the plan, the 6 members are spelled out at the bottom, and very specific. So we're working with the Township Association and the Municipal Association to try to get their members appointed. And then we also are, I'm working with Deerfield Township as the most populous township to get their appointment as well.
So there's one commissioner and we appoint one other,
You appoint another member.
and your recommendation is for us to appoint Brent Centers.
Correct.
Are a couple of our large utilizers, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the list,
Yeah,
so.
City of Mason
okay.
is represented as the largest municipality. And then, as I said, Deerfield Township. And then the Township Trustees Association will select a member, and the Municipal Association, I'm not familiar with them, but we'll get a recommendation from them. And we're asking that they try to consider somebody from Lebanon City so that they would also have representation since they have a 911 center.
So all 3 would have, the idea is everybody has some say on this.
Correct.
Who are the current members on your second page of your,
Yeah,
are those the current members,
yeah,
except for Brent Centers? Is
in
that a member?
the past, these were the members in the past.
Well, wait a second.
And,
Are they the current members, or they, explain that to me,
well,
past?
the committee hasn't met since 2017, so that's what we're trying to do. Is
Well, do we
reestablish.
have current members on the committee?
We have the 2017 appointment. It was Eric Hansen, Eric Reiners, Brian Morris, Commissioner Young, and Pat Clemens.
Okay,
Those
so,
members.
so are those people the current members?
No,
Are there no current members?
not until we reestablish the
Oh,
board.
so there was a term, and these people ceased being members at what point in time?
When the state changed the committee. They've changed the committee last year in October, I believe.
So from that point to this point, there've been no members?
Effectively.
Okay. So is your recommendation that we appoint David Young, Eric Hansen, Eric Reiners, and Brent Centers, or just Brent Centers today?
Just Brent Centers.
Why is that? Why aren't we
Because
appointing all-
that's the only one we can
That's the only
appoint.
ones that-
And commissioner, we make a commissioner representative, and then we appoint one member. By statute, the others are appointed,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so by statute, do the others say like, oh, well, we want one of the major cities in the jurisdiction?
It's underneath there. If you look on the first page there, it's underneath.
Okay.
For each position, position 1,
So
position 2.
the most populous municipal corporation would be Mason, the most populous unincorporated district would be Deerfield, and the second most populous municipal corporation would be Lebanon.
Right. And
Okay.
so I think they changed the law enough that now Eric from Deerfield isn't eligible because he's not a trustee. And so we'll have to reappoint that person.
Oh, so the person
I believe
has
that-
to be a trustee.
Yeah, I believe the old verbiage said.
Or they're a
somebody-
designated.
Because
Well,
number 3 says
representative.
member of the board of township trustees.
Yeah.
Okay, is that also true of the city, that it has to be a member of the council?
An elected official.
Not on number 2, it's the CEO.
What says the chief executive officer of the most populous municipal
Oh,
corporation in the county, the chief
Yeah, for
executive
number 2,
officer,
correct. For for number 5.
Well,
I
the
think
chief executive officer would be Eric Hansen.
I was speaking to number 5.
Oh, okay, so that's a member of the legislative authority of a municipal corporation, that just one has to be on there? So that would be, like, that's why you're defaulting to Lebanon, because
Yeah.
Eric Hansen would already be on there.
Correct. And Pat Clemens was the representative from Lebanon in the past, but with the new law, he's not eligible.
But that's all statutorily created, we don't have anything to do with that except the appointment of one of our own. Should we be appointing one of our own commissioners today?
Correct.
Okay.
And one other person.
And one other person.
Right, and
Commissioner
that would
Young,
be- but you're
Commissioner Young
suggesting-
has historically been the representative from the commissioners.
And what does this entail? This
I'm
committee,
sorry?
what does this committee do? Because evidently they haven't met for a long, long time.
Correct. Changes to the 911 plan, they approved changes to the 911 plan, and now state law says that they have to meet every year.
A lot of it had to do when cell phones were coming, and there was a cell phone fee that was going to the 911 that came in aggregate to the county. We divvied up who was getting what out of that fee, number one. Number two, I had an interest in it because I think it's incredibly inefficient for two of our jurisdictions to maintain their own 911 operations to the tune of millions per year, and I've made that position perfectly clear to them in the past.
I move that we appoint Commissioner Dave Young and Brent Centers to the committee per your request.
Are you okay with that? Okay, I'll second that.
And roll call?
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Grossman?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Thanks, Paul.
And then we need a motion to
We need to establish
reestablish
the committee we need to also have the motion.
Okay.
I move that we reestablish the 911 committee.
Second.
And yes?
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Anything else on our radar that we should be thinking about, or
We've got
everything?
the cyber meeting coming up in February, so don't forget that. And then we'll try to meet and get the 911 committee together. The plan is a draft, as you can tell, it's still got some work to be done, but hope to have that done. And Deerfield said that they'll have their member appointed hopefully by the 7th. We'll have that paperwork, so sometime after February 7th, we'll try to get together and have the 911 committee meet.
Can you speak to policy update, or should that be Gary on the active?
Gary's more familiar, I think.
On the active 911, that'll be covered for the commissioners soon enough.
I believe that we are moving Gary to that first Tuesday of February, if I'm not mistaken. I think Crystal and I were working on getting him on the agenda for that comment.
Okay.
Super. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Does the public have any other business to come before us? Seeing none, Martin? Anything?
I do not have anything additional.
So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
And yes.